All right. So I want to kind of do like a little recap on some of the concept that we covered over the last little series of videos dealing with JavaScript. So what I did here uh, is I just built a simple array of dummy data and include first name, last name, address, which is an array, as you can see here, and inside, I mean, address is an object, rather. I'm sorry. Well, address is an object, and it contains street, city, state, zip properties. Also have email, date created, ID, and is active. So these are the properties that are going into this object. This would be our dummy data, and making at least 10 accounts. Okay, so something real simple. Uh, but this challenge here is to get some practice in using again the concepts that we've covered. There's one well, there's one concept that we have not covered yet, but I figured this would be a good time to like use that. Uh, we'll use this information here as a way to introduce a new concept. But here we are. I have my array called accounts, and I have 10 different objects in there. So you can see how mine looks. I have ID, a first, last, address. You can see is an object, and then I have email. I have date created, and then I have is active. And some can be set to true, some can be set to false. You can do that however you want to. So I'm going to do right here for the folks that are doing this from the first time watching this video. I'm going to pause right here, or you can pause the video rather, and set up your array of data. So the array will again look like this. You'll have 10, at least 10 of these objects that look like this here. So go ahead and pause the video now, structure your data up, and then we'll get to the little challenges. All right, so we're back. Hope everybody's has some time to get the information done. Just check your spelling, check syntax, look in the console, see if any errors pop up. You may want to, before you do anything, uh, come down here and you may want to do a console of the accounts just to make sure that you're getting all 10 of them. And, again, like I said, you want to check your spelling and everything with the properties. I just copied and pasted and then just updated the stuff as I needed to. So anyway, that's that on that. So now the first challenge that we have here is we're going to write a function that will loop through the array of accounts and store all of the active accounts into a copy array that we're going to call active accounts. Okay, so um, there's the assignment right there. A little brief challenge. You can pause the video now, give you a chance to try to work on it by yourself, and then we come back in a moment, and then I'll show you ways to solve this. Okay, so let's look at how we can solve this first challenge here. Um, so first thing I know, or I need to know, is that I need an array to store the information in that I'm getting. Okay, and we're going to call it active accounts. So right here, I'm just going to make an array called active accounts. So it's going to be an empty array, like so. So I'm going to solve this in a couple different ways. Um, The first way, I'm just gonna I'm gonna write a function that will loop through the array and store all the accounts. So I'm gonna call this get active accounts. So I'm gonna say function get active accounts. Okay, and this function, what I want to do with it, I want to pass in. I'm going to take in two arguments. Okay, the first argument is going to be the array. And the second argument is going to be props. Yes, very good. It'll be the prop. So in other words, the property that I want to uh, sort my data, if you will, by. So here I have my function get active accounts, and then what we're going to do is what I need to do. You can see here again, it says I'm going to loop through the array. So there's several different ways to loop through the array. All right, I'm going to do a for of loop. That's the one I've worked with the least, so that's why I'm doing it. So I'm going to do for, and I'll say let account of array, because I want to pass. I'm passing in the array. I mean, this could be anything. I'm just calling it account because I know it's what I want, but I could call it item. I could call it, give it, foo, whatever I want to call it. But here I'm saying for let account of array, and the for of account is going to loop through each item in the array. Okay, so I'm going to work it like this here. So for let account of array, and then what I need to do is I need to check and see if the prop or if the account is active. Okay, so I need to loop through and look through each object and check to see if is active is true. And if is active is true, then I'm going to take that information and store it into active accounts. Okay. So here I'm going to say if account, and I'm going to use square brackets because I'm passing in a variable for is active. So I'm going to say if account prop. Now you might want to say is equal to true. Okay, some people may want to do that, and that's fine if you want to do that. But remember, with the condition for an if statement, this inside the parentheses, this expression would need to evaluate to true in order for it to work. So I don't have to say equals true. I can just say if account prop, because what it's going to do, it's going to look at is active, and if account dot is active is true, then it will do something. Otherwise, it won't do anything at all. But here we go. If account prop is true, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take active accounts and I'm going to set that to, again, here we're going to use the spread operator. So I'm going to spread out active accounts. Oh, put a comma right there, and then we're going to pass in the account. And let's I'll return, let's say we can return active accounts. So let's look at this. We need to run this function now. I think this is it. This is basically it right here. I'm going to run the function get active accounts. I'm going to pass in accounts, and the prop that I want to pass in is going to be is active, and I need to write that as a string. And so now when I do that, I'm going to console active accounts. And when I do that, it works for me. I got all of these 6 accounts that I had set to true. So this is one way to do it. And this is a good method right here. Very readable, I think. It's not bogged down by the if statement. And again, using a for of loop as opposed to using a for loop, that works well because again, with the for loop, we had to specify what our initialization as well as our iteration is going to be. With the for of loop, we don't have to do that. We're just saying, hey, just loop through the entire array. So this is one way to solve. All right. And that works just fine. Okay. Now I'm going to comment this out right here. I should get a big error. When I do get active accounts is not defined. Matter of fact, I'm gonna comment that out as well. Come back and look at active accounts, and it's back to an empty string. I'm gonna solve this in a different way now. Here I'm gonna use some ES6 syntax. So instead of using the function keyword, I'm gonna say const get active accounts, and my arguments will still be the same. I'll say array and prop, my arrow, and my curly braces. And again, when we use an arrow function, one of the big differences or the big changes with an arrow function is when I use an arrow function, I don't need to have a return statement, okay? Because whatever the function is doing, there is an implicit return. That's what this fat arrow is doing right here. It is implying a return from the this task being executed. All right. So now here I'm not going to use ES6 syntax. I'm going to use but I am going to do something different from the for of loop. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use a for each loop. So I'm going to say array.forEach. Okay. And I could go to count right here as well. I'll do that. So I'll say for each account, and then I'm going to do a fat arrow. I'm going to say here I'm going to use a ternary as opposed to the if statement. And so I want the same thing. I want to say, hey, if account prop, okay? So I can say account prop. In other words, again, we're passing in is active. Matter of fact, I need to move this commented line below here. I actually don't have to, but doing it anyways. So if account prop, then what I want to do is I'm going to take active accounts, and we're going to spread out active accounts, and then we're going to pass in the account. Else, don't do anything at all. So this should handle it right here. It's the same concept. It just looks a little different. Okay. And when I uncomment, well, right now, let's go back and look. There I have an empty array for active accounts. When I uncomment this, there I get my 6 accounts that are active. So it worked. Cool. Great. And again, because I'm using an arrow function, just the way that I wrote this here, I can shorten this up. I can put all this on one line if I want to. What I'm going to do is I'm going to remove these outer curly braces like so. Going to put that right there. And then I can even remove these curly braces. So this is all essentially on one line. How cool is that? I wrote that whole thing out on one line. It's doing the exact same thing. We're writing a function here. And again, with an arrow function, I stated again, there is an implied return. So, and this return, again, is simply the output. We're taking the output and we're storing it here inside of this nice little container right here. So that's how we're able to do it all in one line. Well, not that's how we're able to do it all in one line, but that is what's working underneath the hood. And again, anytime we have this fat arrow right here, that means return something. And because I'm using a ternary, all this can be done on one line right here. And that's what's happening. So yeah, there's the first one. Cool. Got that out the way. Next task. Write a function that will loop through the array of accounts and store all of the accounts from the same state into a copy array with the name of the state. For example, Mississippi array. So let's do that. Again, I'm going to do this in a more declarative way first, using brute force, and then I'll go back and change it up. So let's start off. I'm going to make another copy array. I'm going to name this, I'll just call it state array, empty array. This is essentially the same concept, okay? Just had to dig a little deeper into the object. So I'm going to say function get state accounts. And I'm going to pass in the array, and I'm also going to pass in the state. Now, if on your data, if every account has the same state, you can do city instead. That's fine. Oh, let me fix this up. I'm kind of putting them together. Sorry, this is going to be array and state. Okay. And so now I'm going to loop through the array. Again, I'm going to use the for of loop. So I'm going to say for let account of array. All right. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, hey, if account dot address, and then I want the state property. I want the state property from the address object. Rock the mic right, yeah. Address dot state. Here I will need to use an equivalency. Okay, so I need to say if it's equal to state, whatever state I'm passing in. Well, then what are we going to do? Then I'm going to say state array. It's going to get spread out state array, and I'm going to pass in the account. I should do it. So I'm going to use the state of California. So I got 1, 2, I think 2. Yeah, I got 2. I got 2 accounts from California. Okay. Let me forget to, let me return state array. I could simply just return if I want to, not have anything there at all, but I'm going to return state array. Okay, so now I'm going to run the function get state accounts. I'm going to pass in accounts as my argument. In the state, it needs to be a string. I'm going to pass in CA. And then I'm going to console.log state array. And I should have 2 accounts, and I do. Cool. And again, with this one, I'm going to rewrite this. Rewrite this function. Essentially, I'm going to do the same thing. What did I? Oh, I didn't comment this out. Let me comment out that line as well. Okay, there we go. All right, here we go. Same thing. All right, I'm gonna do it all on one line. Const get state accounts. Pass in the array and pass in the state. And what I want to do is I want to say, hey, array dot for each, take every account. I am saying, hey, account dot address dot state equal to state. If it is, then we'll take state array, spread out state array, and pass in account. Else, no, don't do anything at all. Totally wicked awesome, this witchcraft. And the same thing. It worked. So these two were very similar, okay? You just had to dig a little deeper into the object in order to get the information that we want. But it works just the same. We just had to go from the account object into the address object, which is inside of account, and then find the state property. Freeway and the police, you know. All right, so that's cool. That's that one. All right, next one. Write a function that will loop through the array and add a secondary email to each account. The email will be the user's first name, last name, and ID, but beginning with 00. An example here is Satchel Page 001 at coding.com. Okay, so pause the video right here. Try to work it out. See if you can get it. If you can't get it, that's perfectly fine. All right, because it's all about learning. So get as far as you can, and then start the video back up, and then we'll see what you need to do. All right, so let's solve this. And again, I'm going to solve this two different ways. All right. First way I'm going to do it brute force, and then I'm going to see if I can do it using ES6 syntax and other trickery. Ooh. All right, here we go. Let's see. We're going to make a function secondary email. All right, so I need to write a function. I'm going to call it create email. So I'm going to say function create email. I'm going to pass in an array as an argument. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to loop through the array. I'll stick with the for of loop. So for let account of array. So I don't have to do any kind of if statement or anything like that. But what I do need to do is I'm going to add an email account for each one. So I'm just going to call this property secondary email. So for each account, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say account dot secondary email, and it's going to get, I'm using the first name, last name, and then 00, and then whatever their ID is. Okay. Which is not necessarily a safe thing to do, but this is just a practice that we're doing right here. Just see how to do this. All right, so I'm going to say first name. So that's going to be account dot first plus we're just concatenating these strings. Account dot last plus I need 0, 0. It's going to make this a string 0, 0 plus account.id plus the string at satchwork.com. So we're just concatenating the data, the information here. All right. And I think this is it. This might be it. Pretty smooth. I am about to do that. Well, first we got to run the function. So I'm going to say create email, passing in accounts, if I spell it correctly. And then we're going to console.log accounts. And when I do that, there's all 10 accounts. Let's see if we added the email. There we did secondary email, the first name, the last name, 001, and then the email server. So it works. Pretty cool. I want to clean this up a little bit, though. We know it's like with email, very rarely do we see emails with capital letters in it. So what we can do to fix that is here on account.first, I'm going to add to lowercase. That needs to be a capital L. And same thing to last. And what to lowercase does is it takes every character in the string and makes it a lowercase letter. And so now when I come back and look at this and pull up the data, there I can see that the email address is all lowercase. Cool. That was pretty smooth. Let's do it again. I'm going to rewrite this. We're going to use ES6 syntax for this one. And if you mix and match, using ES6 syntax and traditional or vanilla JavaScript, that's perfectly fine. You can do that. If you will go in between using, say, well, just whatever method, however you mix and match it, that's up to you. There again, there's no one way of doing any of this, so you just want to be able to solve it. Okay. So let's write this function again. I'm going to write an arrow function. I'm going to say const create email. And here I'm going to take the account, well, the array rather. And I'm going to loop through the array using a for each loop. So I'm going to say array.forEach. Take each account. And then return here, I'm going to say account.secondary email. And set that to be here, instead of concatenating all those strings, because we don't like to do that. That's disgusting. What we're going to do instead is make these backticks right here. And I'm going to use a string template literal. So I'm going to say $ right here. This is going to be account.first. And again, I'm going to add to lowercase. And then immediately following the curly braces. Oh, that needs to be account. There we go. And this will be account dot up. Put $ curly brace. There we go. Account dot last dot to lowercase. And then 0, 0. And then a $ curly brace. And I'll say account.id at satchwork.com. And when I do that, let's look at it, take each account. And it works. Cool. All right. Moving down, we got 3 more of these challenges to go. This one's pretty easy. Seal all of the counts. So if you want to seal all of the counts, all we need to do is let's just make a for loop and seal it. Okay. And I'm going to, well, we see how we could do it with the for loop. I can say, and I'm not going to make this a function. I'm just going to use a for loop. I'm going to say for let account of accounts object dot seal account, and that's it. And we could test this out. I can come over here and say I'll say accounts 0. I'll take that first one dot. I'll try to add a new property to this. Age gets 45. Let's see if this works. If the seal does not work, then when I look up that first account, I should see an age property. Okay, that's how I know it didn't work. If I don't see the age property, that means that my seal worked. So console.log accounts. Matter of fact, let me put a clear right up here. And look at the first one, and I don't see an age property. It's not there. So work, cool. I can remove that. So this is one way to do it, right? And this is just using the for of loop. And again, if you want to, you can use just a traditional for loop if you want to. If you want to even try to do it with a while loop, that's fine too. Here we go. I'm gonna say accounts dot for each. I'm gonna use a for each loop this time. Take each account and object dot seal account. That does the exact same thing. All right, 2 more challenges to go. This next one, we want to write a function that will loop through the array and set all accounts to active. So we're going to take, I know for mine, I have 4 accounts that are set to false. So I'm going to take every account, set them all to active. So let's write a function to do that. I don't need to create a copy array or anything for this. I'm just going to write a function that's going to take every account and set the property to, or set is active to true. That's it. All right, so I'm going to say function set accounts to active. Going to take an array in as an argument. And then I'm going to loop through the array. So I'm going to say for let account of array. And we're going to say account dot is active set to true. I think this should be it. Let me take this accounts right here. I'm going to move this down right here. Set accounts to active. It's going to take every single one of them, set it to true. And let me see. I think this account was false. It's true. Oh, it didn't work. Let's see. We got one that's false. So let's see what we need to do here. Oh, we need to run the function, don't we? How about that? We can start there. So let's set accounts to active and pass in accounts. True. Where it is, it's true. Yep, looks like all of them are true. So go through and check. And check if they're true. Matter of fact, if you want to, I could do something like this. If I just want to count real quickly to see which accounts are, well, how many accounts I have are true. Well, I know I got 10 items in this array here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say let count. I'll just call it count, but I could call it anything. So I'll say let count get to 0. Let count get 0. And then we're going to do for each one, set accounts active to true. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say count plus plus. I'm going to increment count. And I'm going to console.log count. And I should get 10 right here. And I do. Cool. So that's just a little quick way just to check and see, you know, if it went and set each one to true. So I'm counting, set zero, count to 0. I said for each account of the array, set is active. Well, I think logically this don't really do much because it's going to do it anyways. It's going to increment the count. I can say if account active is true, then count plus plus. So maybe I should do that. Say that. That's more sound logic. Oh. Well, I'll do right here. So I'll just do a simple ternary right here, and I'll say, hey, account is active. If that's true, count plus plus, else don't do anything. Oh, it doesn't like that. Let me yeah, because that's outside of the loop. There we go. That need to be inside the loop. Okay, cool. So that worked. So yeah, it worked anyways. All right. Set all this stuff back. So I know that works. Now let's do this a different way. Use some ES6 right here. Use the arrow function. Set accounts to active. Going to take in an array. And I'm going to say, hey, return array dot for each. Take each account and say set account is active to true. And that did the same thing. Or should, yeah. Let me just come over here, verify. I think this one was false. It's true. I know this one was false. It's set to true. All right, cool. That's good. Last one. This is the challenge right here, because we haven't covered necessarily what to do. Now, there's a way to do it without the way I'm going to show you. But here we go. Write a function that will loop through the array and collect all the names and the addresses to store into a new object for a new array. I'm going to pause the video. Well, you can pause the video here, try to solve it for yourself, and then come back and try to work this out. Trailer, plug this up. Before this thing dies on the video. I know, right? No, right here. It's down here. Yeah. I think about, whoa.
Till next time.
Right. Appreciate it. All right, here we go. So I'm going to, what we're going to do is we're going to use something that's called dot map. So the dot map method. The dot map method is a method, and this is my definition, for arrays that will return a new array after doing stuff to items in an older array. That's what dot map does. So let's see how that looks. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make an array right here. I'll say let array 1, and I'll just use numbers 1. I'll say 2, 4, 6, and 8. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a second array. I'm going to say let array 2 get array 1 dot map. So here I'm going to map through the array. Okay. And so my argument is going to be, I can say item. Sometimes you'll see L or E. I like to use item. So I'm going to take each item from the array, and I'm going to say item raised to the second power. So what this is going to do is going to map through the array. It's going to go through that array 1, take each item from it. So 2, 4, 6, and 8. And it's going to raise each one to the second power. And then after that, it's going to store it into a new array. So this map method returns a new array. So if I console array 2, I get 4, 16, 36, and 64. And see, it is a new array. So you see, I didn't have to put square brackets or anything like that to say that is an array. This map method is going to make a new array or copy of the array based on whatever task we're doing to it. It's a pretty cool method right here. If you start learning React, or if you have started learning React, then map is going to be your friend. So anyways, I'm going to make, I do it like this. I'm going to say, let addresses. I'm going to do it this way first. I'm going to set addresses to be an empty array. And then I'm going to loop through this array. Well, I'm going to write a function. Let's say const. I'm just going to use the const keyword. I'm going to say get addresses. And it's going to take the array Yeah. I'm going to loop through the array, but I'm not going to loop through the array. I don't need to loop through it. What I can do is just map it. I can say addresses, and this needs to be ES. Let me say E. So addresses. Oh no. I'll say array dot map. Take each account. And here, when using dot map, I do need to, well, I should have a return right here because what I want to return is an object, okay? So I'm going to return I'm going to return this object right here. Oh, here it is. So I'm returning, and this will be, I'll say, first, going to pass in account dot first. Last will be account dot last. Address will be this object where, what is it? What's the first one? Street. Street will be account dot street. City will be account dot city. State will be account dot state. And zip will be account dot zip. Not zup, zip. And then what I'm going to do is I can say addresses is going to get addresses and pass in accounts. Now when I console.log addresses, oh, I get undefined. Let's see where I need to do. I could do this. I can do it right here. Addresses is going to get array.map. And I'll remove that right there. I'll just run get addresses. Pass in accounts. There we go. That works. And this one's a little different. Like I said it's we haven't looked at that yet, but I wanted to show you how we could use something else. Now you could have solved this using any one of the other methods that we've done, but the dot map works so well. I figure, why not introduce you all to that now. So if you had any issues with any one of these, I would say go back and watch this video again and start it over. Try each challenge all over again. Also, if you want to, you can create another data set and try working through it again. Okay. Practice is always going to make better. Okay. So that's it for this challenge. I know this video is longer than the ones that we've been doing normally, but I wanted to go through each one of these different little challenges using this sample data set and just playing with the things we've learned so far and trying to make some stuff happen. So that's it for this video. Please, leave some comments. If you did a certain way and you did it differently than what I did and you want to share it, please, by all means, post that in the comments. Like the video, subscribe, tell your friends to subscribe because the executive producer wants to go and is taking somebody out for Valentine's Day and needs some money for a hot date. So let's get them YouTube checks rolling in as fast as we can. All right, peace out.